I'm not envious for either of these guys as they have to go against Fuligin. He's master of the trash talk.
Looks like Rolf.
Alright, nice. So, Uncle randomized swords. I was watching the Ben versus Dustin race just now, and that was an absolute massive troll hunt for certain items. So I am going to hope that we get some nice progression items here, make this a little bit easier for the runners. No bombs, no cane of burnout. Let's get a hammer, a bow, a fire rod, something that we can use for some early progression.
And that map, oh, bomb start. But we saw map check, and we saw a red crystal over on Eastern Palace, a red pendant, I'm sorry, over at Eastern. We have a red crystal in Desert and a normal, regular crystal over in Terra of Hera.
Alright, so early pendant Eastern, not ideal. I actually know what, I take that back. Pendant Eastern is a little bit nice if they don't find a bow. You can justify a dip in there without having to worry about having to, potentially do a double dip. So that's nice to get out of the way. Crystals, Desert and Hera. If we find an early mirror or an early book, those will be very nice plays.
It's always interesting to see these bomb threats as well.
Yeah, both players executing that first room fairly well, only using the minimum of the 2 bombs and picking up the hookshot as the reward. Hookshot is going to really help them with early navigation. It also lets them instant kill the rats and the bats and the ropes and everything in the back of Escape. If they do run a little bit low on bombs and need to farm for some more, but we also get to check our stun prize earlier than we otherwise would.
Really nice knock into the bomb by Arius right there.
Yeah, it looks like the stun prize is a bomb, so it's kind of like a little refund there.
Unless you used to.
That's great early game knowledge to have. I think the stun prizes are something that every player should check. If it's a full magic pot or a fairy, or in this case bombs, that type of knowledge can really help you out in a lot of situations. CeroX picked up. I'm probably not saying that right. Do you know how to pronounce that? Is it Cero or CeroX?
I think it's CeroX.
Alright, thank you. I'll say CeroX. He also picked up the stun prize there, so they both know that it's a bomb. If they're in Ice Rod Cave or a Genus Cave or one of these one-off spots that they find themselves short a bomb, they'll be able to quickly pick one up.
You can see CeroX like stopping for a bit, wondering, wait, the guard's back. What do I do?
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up. I don't know if it's CeroX or CeroX. So at this point in the game, they basically, they're just on autopilot. You just need to finish escape. You can instant kill everything with a hook shot. They're not going to take any damage. Next big reveal is, this crossroads chest here over on Arius' side, and we do get the Moon Pearl. That is a nice early item. So of your 3 potential Dark World items that you need, Moon Pearl, Hammer, or Moon Pearl and 2 mitts, I think the Moon Pearl is probably the one that you definitely don't want to see first. If Moon Pearl is your last one, then that locks so many spots. It's pretty easy to find. But if you're looking for gloves or hammer, that can be in many more places. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, like, I'm also thinking by myself that Moon Pearl doesn't lock anything in. Well, it locks almost everything in Dark World, which means that it's almost never in the Dark World.
Exactly. The only places in the Dark World it can really be are the checkerboard cave and on the pyramid. So if you're at that point, then you've really narrowed it down. But you can get to the Dark World and find gloves in many places. Hammer can be in a surprisingly large number of out-of-the-way locations. But yeah, you can Checkerboard Cave is a light world location that you access through the Dark World in a bunny form, and you can use your mirror. So I'm going to count that as close enough to the Dark World. You need at least Dark World access in order to get there. So we'll call that a compromise, guys.
And we found a big heart container in the Sanctuary chest. It makes it a Sank heart container, but it isn't the Sank heart container, sadly.
It's nice to get some early game health at this point. CeroX there doing the hookshot clip through the block so you can avoid a screen transition out and back into the dam. It's always a nice thing to do with early hookshot, and we're seeing a lot of these hookshot navigation aids, blocks on trees and bushes. Until you get the boots or the flute, really all you have to work with is the hookshot. It moves you at twice your walking speed, and it's pretty fast. But you do have to know where all the hookshot locations are. So a lot of practice comes into making this look like it's easy.
Interesting to see a quick Agina's Cave check. It's a location most people forget about.
Yeah, this is early divergence. Arius taking the fairly standard, Kakariko tour that 95% of runners will take. CeroX looking for some out of the way, doing South Shore first, checking Agina's Cave. That can pay off if you find the flute or the bottle or the boots in those locations. Then you'll be able to route them into Kakariko and save yourself a backtrack.
And so far it does certainly look like we're getting a very healthy seed with the Sanctuary heart container in Blind Cellar.
It's always nice when you find the Sank heart, deep into Turtle Rock when you're beeping with 1 heart left. And it's nice to get that free health fill. Arius, though, picking up the bottle there in the well. He'll be able to turn the sick kit in, so that's one fewer things that we have to come back to Kakariko later on for.
And finding both mail upgrades and flute in Mini Moldrum Cave makes that CeroX can just do a whole of Kakariko in one fell swoop. Yeah,
that's where this southern route can pay off. he might have to come back later on if there's a boots locked library item, and he'll have to eventually come back for magic bat later on. But he's able to get the flute activated and at least the sick kid done in the initial trip. At this point, checking Ice Rod Cave, CeroX is really showing us that he's going for these one-off locations that Arius may end up skipping. A lot of players, will skip these locations, or they'll route them in, kind of considering them gambles. Finding a Canis Samaria at one of these locations, he might feel that that's a location that Arius could potentially skip, and that might give him an advantage.
And racing game having nothing of value. Well, it has value, but not to us. Just 5 quiv, a 5 arrow capacity upgrade.
Yeah, so players it looks like they're doing each other's routes now. Arius is going to give us the standard South Shore stuff, so he'll get his flute, his mail upgrades. Going to have to backtrack to Kakariko. May or may not do the Aegina's Cave and Ice Rod Cave checks, though, immediately. Ice Rod Cave is, like I said, it's one of those locations that it's easy to get back to when you get the flute and the boots. It's a little bit less convenient to walk up there immediately, but he will have to go back to Kakariko to activate that flute, where CeroX is able to activate that on his first trip there.
And Arius is over 1,000 rupees, so not opting to pick up that 50 bucks that's drowned on the water.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Having all of that money may encourage Arius to, go up to Ice Rod Cave and then do a fake flipper Zor's domain check immediately afterwards. You're able to check both of the Waterfall Fairy cave locations, having the Moon Pearl, so it makes it a little bit more convenient to route that in earlier rather than put it off, despite it being a sequence break.
Oh, and Arius is saving quitting. I'm suspecting he'll activate his flute and then head back towards Ice Rod Cave, but he might forget about it.
Well, this would be faster. He's going to have to activate it anyway, and floating to 8 rather than even a short walk from Mini Moldorm Cave is a net time savings. As Chet points out, though, we might see the runners choose to head up to Death Mountain. It's logically accessible now with the flute, and the hook shot does open up the Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave item locations. So that's 6 locations over there, as well as the additional location in Spectacle Rock Cave. Can sequence break the old man as well for that save and continue point, which is really nice to have with the flute.
And Arius just released the duck, the goose, whatever you want to call it, and CeroX is just about to activate it.
Yeah, the duck is a muck, and Arius is heading back to 8, so he'll be picking up his Canis Samaria. Still really interested to see if either of the runners decides to do a Zor's domain check prior to heading up to Death Mountain. If you can find the hammer or gloves in one of those sequence breaks and avoid a Aga Tower requirement, it can really be a massive time savings.
And Arius opted to walk out of Ice Rod Cave, so he's going to fake flipper. But he walked out of Ice Rod Cave instead of saving quitting and then go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether he was going to flute or flute down here or somewhere else, I think walking out is still faster than the save and quit in that situation. Ice Rod Cave isn't a long walk. Some people will save and quit if they're, in a genus cave. That's a little bit more annoying. One advantage that Arius will have with the flute is he'll be able to get to a genus cave a little faster than CeroX did, and also check the desert ledge item. I won't be able to pick it up, but we'll at least be able to get that knowledge as he walks by. So did you happen to notice if Arius gave us a lumberjack cave check? I didn't see CeroX do one, but I missed whether Arius did.
I don't believe Arius did give us a check.
Okay, so neither runner has knowledge of what's up there. That'll always be interesting. So thank you to OSS Geek in chat for that update, and of course for tracking, keeping us honest here.
And we had a book on the Lake Hylia Island.
That's an interesting island item. I can go a long time without picking that up, and unless they need the book for desert access, I can see both players opting not to get it for a while. The boots and the powder, though, at the Waterfall Ferry, that is a sequence break paying off. And Arius getting really lucky there with that bonk, not resulting in a soft lock, actually being able to get out of that.
But he has to take the long way around here right now.
Well, this is the vanilla way around, because without flippers, it's no big deal. We saw that there was just garbage on the ledge, and a massive life lesson from Zora with only 10 arrows. So Arius has done all the Zora domain items, everything except swamp and ice. That is flippers locked. He's gotten out of the way. And if swamp ends up being a pendant, he can fake flipper to ice, and we might even have a flipperless seed. I got CeroX having checked Paradox Cave, probably checking Spiral Cave now. Arius heading up to the same checks, Paradox first, then Spiral Cave. Just a red rupee there on the floating island. So this is going to be the last check up here on Death Mountain. At this point, CeroX is going to have to head into the eastern area. That is our next place for progression. We've covered everything else to this point. Arius will have the bonk rocks open to him as well. That's one additional sequence broken location that he'll be able to check.
And Arius having the boots making the Spiral Cave that much faster.
Hammer in Spiral Cave, that is an excellent item to find. They are one item away from Dark World access.
And they can go over towards Tower of Hera right now.
That's a good point. It's unfortunately in Spiral Cave means you do have to climb up the mountain yet again, which CeroX is immediately realizing that he now has the ability to get into Hera. Depending on whether the big key is in the basement, we don't have a fire source yet, so we might be blocked in our progression in Hera, but we'll at least be able to get in here, check something. The hammer does give us the ability to kill Moldorm if we can get the Moldorm. So we might see our first crystal at 22 minutes.
Ooh, finding a small key. Now, if we find the big key in the, or if we do not, and if we do not find it, we are fire source locked.
Fortunately, Big Heat lets us continue. If we're able to pick up both items, then we can just skip the basement altogether. That would be the dream, Hera. Nice bomb jump there from Arius. CeroX also got that one. It's one of the average difficulty bomb jumps to pull off. You can kind of get sucked into that corner, and it's pretty generous on its positioning. It's not the easiest, but definitely not the hardest one. First item in Hera, a big 20. This bomb jump, on the other hand, this one is pretty tricky to set up. CeroX doing it flawlessly with a 2-pixel setup, only finding the compass. Arius with the boots would be able to do a bonk, and that gives him 6 pixels, so 3 times the margin of error. That's a tricky one to set up, because if you fall, you're losing quite a bit of time. So we're really hoping that we find the other item here on Moldorm. If we don't find it here, they're not even going to be able to go back into the basement, and they're going to have to basically orphan this item and come back here later in the game when they can route it in with an Ether Tablet check or a Spike Cave check or their Dark Death Mountain checks. They're not going to want to come back up here just for the Hera basement.
Well, they can go. They cannot get the item.
And so one interesting thing to point out is they can check the Spectacle Rock cave with or without the mirror, but they're not able to get the Spectacle Rock item on top of it until they actually get the mirror. The chat was talking about that a little bit. Both of them on Moldorm now. CeroX has not had a good fight here. Unfortunately got knocked off twice already, but with 3 hammer hits is able to get it. Arius, I think, just walked off that time. Bow! So that is the progression item that you want to find early on. There's only 8 locations in the entire game that are bow locked. 4 are the top of Ganon's Tower. There's 3 in Palace of Darkness, and then the 1 on the Armor's Knights. So that can be almost anywhere but those 8 spots. Really, really good to get that done, get that out of the way early. Absolutely going to lead both of the runners over to the eastern area. They can check 3 items at Sashirala's hut. Both I expect will do that. Going into Eastern makes a lot of sense at this point. They don't have too many in-logic locations left. If they want to complete Eastern, though, unless they pick up the lamp, that's going to be a sequence break going through those dark rooms. I expect most of the runners will probably give it an attempt, but you will have to keep in mind that it's a break. And we do see both runners making the play into Eastern. Arius definitely has an advantage here with the boots. Cannot pick up that rock. That's funny. Tried to get past the Octrock a few times. Just said, like, I'm gonna give up. I'm just gonna go straight into Eastern, not get those Sashirala items on the way back. And where did that duck come from?
I think that duck came from the sky. You know, birds are falling from the rooftops.
It's the random swag duck flying by. He must have had the flute active before he switched to hookshot, and I just missed it. The duck just flew right by. We don't have his audio on, so we would not have heard the noise.
Would you say he ducked for the duck?
I would say that he dodged the duck. God, wouldn't that be an amazing V30 feature? Random swag ducks. All right, so here's an idea that I'm gonna mention in the chat here, and then you guys can pester the developers. Bit races. You know, being able to order up a random swag duck where the duck will just no sound. The duck will just fly off the screen and take you to a random warp point. Like that would be a great thing you can buy. I could see, you know, just I'm running across the world. I'm almost where I need to go. Duck.
And finding the glove upgrade, meaning that we have our Dark World access.
Well, we definitely were running out of locations there. That was the last in logic. Well, actually, they did have the big chest there, but they were running out of locations. They needed either a lamp to put something else in logic, or progression at that point. They would have needed the cape and a sword, or two swords and a lamp. You know, there's too many things that were Agate Tower requirements at that point in time, so it had to be a single item progression.
Going straight towards Hype Cave. Will it be hype, or will it not be hype?
This is a really good play. You know, there's 5 items in Hype Cave, and you're able to, you know, some players will route up and do Pyramid and Catfish if they have the hammer. That's a little bit of an uncommon route, you know, even a few months ago, but some players have been adopting that as their initial Dark World strat. CeroX doing what I'd say the traditional route here, doing Stumpy and Digging Game. You basically have to save and quit at that point, though, unless you find the Titan's Mitts and continue. This is a little bit less optimal without the mirror, because you're going to have to come back here later on for Cave 45 or Cave south of Haunted Grove if you don't want to use the, you know, the meme name for it. Yeah, just finding the bug net there. You know, a lot of people they'll praise the bug net because it's the swag net, and then they'll criticize the bug net because it doesn't actually have too much value. But I think picking up a fairy is always nice to have. But meanwhile, Arius is giving us our first lumberjack cave check. Routed that in with the bonk rocks, and that's just a little piece of heart. So we are not going to get to Aga. Aga is officially dead at this point. "27 digs for just
being able to carry 5 more bombs." Well, you probably get the muscle, you probably train your muscles more with those digs to be able to carry more bombs, so it makes sense, I guess.
I kind of feel, yeah, like I'm not against Arius by any means, so like this isn't meant to be negative, but I kind of like the fact that he doesn't have a sword. because he sequence broke those boots, and he's doing all of these dashes without being able to dash through enemies. It kind of feels like the sequence break only paid off a little bit. Without a sword, it's just only half the fun. I can just imagine that they get their first sword and the flippers like in the same room. So the boots become in logic at the same time you get the sword to make them fun.
In my opinion, boots without the sword is more fun for the enemies, at least, and for us, I say.
Well, it's a lot more fun for the enemies because they get to fight back.
Well, if you don't have the sword but you have the boots, can you just say, let's hug these enemies?
Well, as Wolflink would say, you get the hug them to death.
And Arius will be doing his workout to get more, to be able to carry more things.
So I think let's talk about CeroX's play at the moment here. Going in the Palace of Darkness. So without the mirror, this dungeon is pretty inconvenient to navigate around. He has the sword. I'm sorry. He has the bow and the hammer, which lets him, full clear the dungeon if you sequence break all the dark rooms. But no lamp, no mirror. It's not the easiest dungeon to go to. Skipped Thieves Town, which is a lot easier. Items. There's 4 items in Thieves Town, all of which he can get, as well as the 3 items in the Village of Outcasts. That's 7 items versus 5 in Palace of Darkness. What do you think he's thinking with this play?
He might be doing a more risky play in order to maybe get lucky with his items and get a lead out of this.
Well, Arius is heading to the Village of Outcasts, like you said. Skullwoods being the green pendant, it's the same logic that applies with Eastern. You can apply to Skull. I'm going to go check in here, and if I find both my items, I might never have to come back. That might be, a good reason to motivate Arius to check up here a little bit earlier. There's a little bit less automatic requirement to check Skullwoods in this version than there was in previous versions. It's less almost guaranteed hype, but hopefully we'll at least get to see the Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town play following this.
No bomb. Oh, first item in Skullwoods. I think he's going to do a bomb jump. Arius.
Yeah, has the boots, but still does the 2-pixel bootless jump. Very nice setup. And, just a small key there in the big chest, so we're going to have to continue on. This next room in Skullwoods is made much, much easier with the Cane of Samaria, able to avoid all of the statue nonsense with the Gibdos. So we'll see this item, but this is as far as he can progress in Skullwoods without the Fire Rod. And we just get a compass here, so we get 1 orphaned item in Skullwoods. No save and quit, so probably heading down to Village of Outcasts in Thieves Town, where 7 items await. I can empathize with Arius here. no sword. You have the boots, having to pick up all of those bushes to get past. That's you're always like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? CeroX has done pretty well in these dark rooms so far. The basement one, not too difficult. Going into the second hardest dark room, the pod maze. Without a sword, this can be a little bit tricky. He's going to hammer. Maybe we'll see him use a Samaria block. One trick you can do is you can keep a map open on another monitor, or print out a map. And use that as a reference when you're navigating these dark rooms. You definitely need to practice them, and at the bracket stage of the tournament, if you can't do a dark room, then your opponent is going to get a significant edge on you, even if there's no progression, just by avoiding a double dip. There's a bottle in the bottom right chest. I didn't see what was in the top left. It could have been a capacity upgrade or a dungeon item. I didn't see it show up. And it's working his way up to the exit here at the moment, which I don't think he bombed open. Yeah, that was a lot of work for very little payoff. And once again, this dungeon without a mirror, we're seeing him having to use precious bombs to try to force a death warp. Red mail, it takes 4 bombs to do 1 heart of damage. So he's gonna go back and fight these Dodongos and suicide over there. Hopefully he doesn't have a fairy. Alright, so CeroX missing just the map, and that will be on Helmosaur. What would you do in this situation, Demon? You know that there's not an item on Helmosaur. You know that you have to do the Dark Turtle room without the fire rod, the light the torches, no sword for navigation. You can just come back later on and pick up this crystal. You really haven't found any value in the dungeon. Do you consider coming back later?
Well, as I can't do any dark rooms, I'd come back later. But if I could do the dark rooms consistently, you're there already. You might as well just do it, I'd say. It's just a little... You might lose a bit of time because it's a dark room, but that's another crystal you have in your pocket already.
I'm gonna have to... We'll have to make sure we ask CeroX what his thinking is. I'm working on the turtles right now, and these guys are really difficult. They can just move around. Very frustrating. Arius does a hammer blind fight. Arius does have the King of Samaria, and that is another option you can use for blind. Can make things a little bit easier, but he's not having any trouble. With red mail, he can just get up there and body him and get the hammer hits in. Got 1 hit to go, and blind is down.
That's not nice. Letting blind trip over your leg. He can't see, or she can't see.
Yeah, so that is a second crystal there for Arius. CeroX, I think he just got through the turtle room. He's working his way up to the entrance to Helmasaur right now. Yeah, there we go. That's the Helmasaur entrance. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. The hammer hits without the sword, not a problem. 17 hammer hits, and then 8 shots with the bow. Alternatively, you can do hammer hits, but without the sword to extend the hitbox of the hammer, especially the upwards vertical hitbox, it's really difficult to line those up. So we've got 40 arrows. Maybe we'll see the safer strat here.
And down goes King Helmasaur.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think, you know, I said we'll have to ask CeroX what his thinking was with Pod. I would call that, wow, there we go. Sorry, I'll get back to that in a minute. But Arius has the cape and just found the sword up on Bumper Ledge. So that is going to be the first sword of the game, 42 minutes in, and it's a cape locked sword at that. So remind me, where did he pick up the cape?
I do not know, so I'll just guess it was in Thieves Town.
The brewery in Village of Outcasts. So one of the 7 item locations in the Thieves Town area. Wow, that is nice. Got the cape prior to checking Bumper Cave. He could very well have checked that on his way out of Skull Woods and have had to backtrack there. So that route has worked out really well for Arius. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier, Demon's Druid, CeroX making the play for Pod and just not finding any progression there, unfortunately. Having a really tough time with those rooms. Arius has the lamp and the sword. It's going to be a much easier run for him.
Well, yeah, definitely. But CeroX is making the northeastern Dark World checks right now. Like that, in my opinion, that's just catfish right now. Well, it is only catfish right now.
Yeah, I think when you come out of Palace of Darkness, that makes sense. You didn't find anything in Pod, so you don't really have any great next place to go. Just rupees on the pyramid. Catfish, that's another out of the way location that could potentially have some value that Arius may be unlikely to check, especially if with all things open to him. So we'll see what's here. After this, though, I expect we'll probably see a save and quit and a trip over to the Village of Outcasts. It's not many other great places for CeroX to go. So Arius is also going to be able to do the powder check when he'll be able to turn the mushroom in after when he goes to the light world next, and he'll be able to do the magic bat given the fact that he sequence broke that powder earlier when he goes over to 3 prior to entering into the dark world. So that sequence break, now that he has a sword and the boots are easier to use, is really paying off.
And there was another duck flying overhead for CeroX right here, but he did use the flute there.
Well, I saw the flute that time. I'm sure the flute was out the other time too before the hookshot switch. CeroX, I think he's just giving chat some fun here with these duck dodges.
If he did not use the flute to call the duck over that very first time, we'll have to watch it back and see what actually happened and if it's a new glitch.
If there was a duck without the flute the first time, I think we probably would have seen a lot of clips in chat by now. That would have been a first. And to be honest, that would actually be kind of scary. You know, if the swag duck has become sentient and is capable of of trolling our runners at random spots, still great idea for a bit race, but not something I would want to see in a tournament race.
Well, the duck has joined forces with the chickens.
Oh wow, that would be great. All these decades of chicken torture, and the duck is the avenging avatar of chicken revenge. I could definitely get on board with that. Maybe implement something that if you do the chicken clip early in the game, then the duck will clip you into somewhere random later in the game. But just find yourself stuck on a wall at some random point. So I like so JRift asking, how many hits does it take to enrage the chickens? I don't know the actual number, but I'm going to say not enough.
Do it 3 times and you get the duck after you as well.
Yeah, there's something. I don't think it takes a different number of chicken hits with the fighter sword or the butter sword to get the flock to go after you. Like, it should be like 15 hits with the fighter sword, and then the chickens will go berserk, but like 1 hit with the butter sword, and then you get the the attacks from the flock. That would seem appropriate, and that would be fun too, because all the people who get like early butter and then just accidentally hit a chicken have to start running for a screen transition. Yeah, or 1 hammer blow, and you have to avoid the chickens when you're doing the peg cave check. That might finally put an end to Iden dashing through the pegs. Got it. We are having some really fun time coming up with troll ideas.
Also, an idea for the bit race: random chicken, like. Well, Redsloo just put it in chat. Chicken Storm, like random chicken attacks as incentive to use.
Yeah, the bit races, they do have an unduck option, which is pretty fun, and I watched one that had a Sakura Tsubasa, and they just kept unducking her over and over and over again. And she would just every single time go back and activate it, just to spite chat. It was really fun. At this point in the game, CeroX and Arius, they're just clearing dungeons that the other one has done. So, we know all the items, and the execution is pretty straightforward at this point. So we are kind of just waiting for them to finish these dungeons so we can see our next progression path. So what are the really good options here? I don't think CeroX is going to pick up those boots or the powder until he actually gets the flippers. If you're going to fake flipper, that tends to be something that you do early on in the game, hoping for the gamble to pay off for a long period of time. It's not something that you oftentimes route in later. We know flippers are going to show up because we do have both swamp and ice as crystals. So you know, they're going to show up sooner or later. Both of those dungeons, you know, they can't even sequence break into ice without the fire rod or the bombos. They can't do Skull Woods without the fire rod. They can't do Turtle Rock without the mitts. We're really locked on a lot of locations at the moment. Can't even get it into desert without the mirror or the book. Where can they even go after this?
Without mirror we can't, and without flippers we can't go into Swamp Palace. Without the Titansmiths or the mirror or the book, we can't go into desert. Ice Palace is locked. Mystery Mire is locked. Turtle Rock is locked. So progression has to be outside of a dungeon here.
So, yeah, so Neely mentions the mushroom, and looks like Arius is checking that right now. Spike Cave is in the logic, because they have the cape and half magic, and the hammer and the gloves. So that could also be an option. There's the fire rod at the mushroom, so there's our progression. That unlocks Ice Rod, that unlocks Ice Palace. It doesn't. They can get in there if they fake Flipper, but it doesn't logically unlock it. All that unlocks is the back of Skull Woods and basement of Tower of Hera.
But we got all the items in Hera.
Wasn't there a basement item?
I don't think it was. I thought we got both items in Hera.
Oh,
but
that's right. We got the both.
I think we have an item left in Skull Woods, though.
Yeah, there is an item in Skull Woods, and it does look like CeroX is heading up there. This will be his first sword at Bumper Cave, and potentially will, you know, well, sorry, he doesn't have the fire rod. So, Arius heading back to Skull Woods knows that this is one of the only 2 spots left.
Nearly goes the wrong way around, as he doesn't have Titansmiths. He can't go the way he almost went.
Everybody makes that mistake. Yeah, so we have both items. Air bomb, funny. So we have an item in Spike Cave, and we have an item in Skull Woods. We did get one item in the front, so not a lot of options. I mean, at the moment, it's really bottlenecked both of our runners to the same locations. So, oh, and Old Man. Old Man's down in logic, so CeroX is checking that.
But the longer Arius has, the longer it takes for CeroX to check, to get the flippers properly and check Waterfall Cave, the more of a lead Arius will generate practically with having the boots early.
Yeah, he's had the boots early, but I don't think he really has a lead at this point. They're essentially at the same locations progression-wise. The boots haven't unlocked any new items, and without having the sword for a long time, it didn't actually save him a lot of time in mobility, because he had to keep dodging enemies. So I think CeroX is going to do a fake powder here, which is going to... he's not using up his magic. So this is something that Arius can do because he has the actual powder, but either way, if there's progression here, they'll both be getting it. One through the item and one through the sequence break. And
it's still technically a sequence break for Arius, as powder was, if I'm not mistaken, in Waterfall Fairy Cave.
That's absolutely true. It is a sequence break for both of the players, but it'll give us good knowledge of what the game intends you to do. And a sword there may or may not be intended progression. You know, that if that's our only available sword, you know, prior to some locations like Tranix that can tell us a little bit about where the logic wants you to go, but that just could be the fourth sword for all we know.
This could be a mirrorless seed as well. No, wait. Swan Palace is a crystal, so it isn't. It's definitely not a mirrorless seed, I'm sorry.
There's a green pendant for Arius. Going back in to check this last chest because we didn't get our item. So the pendant that's one other item location that is in logic that they'll be able to check. I expect with the fire rod, CeroX is probably going to make a similar check into Skullwoods.
Sahasrara has to be our progression right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we have Spike Cave, which I think looks like that's where CeroX is headed at the moment. That is in logic. Doesn't have enough magic to get through it, though. I don't think he has he just bought a potion, so that's probably his goal is to do Spike Cave.
But we found the myths in Turtle Skull Boots. So now the seed has really opened up.
Yeah, I expect Misery Mire area is going to be the first place we go, and Arius agrees with me. Still can't get into desert, but we're able to get the 2 Mire Shed locations, and we'll find out what the medallion for Mire is. We have no medallion, so we can't get in there, and Ether is our requirement. We do not yet have Ether.
And there is our flippers and this making the boots and the powder back into the logic.
So that's an interesting find there. That's going to lead him to Ice Palace most likely. I can't get into Swamp without the mirror, and really, he can also go to Dark Death Mountain. That would actually be a very nice play. He has the hook shot, so there's 6 items in Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot Cave. He could check the Turtle Rock Medallion, and he could do a Spike Cave check while he was up there. So 7 items on Dark Death Mountain versus 3 in Ice Palace. Could be an appealing option. But either way, he'll be able to full clear ice at least, so he'll be able to get everything out of this dungeon. This is a crystal. I think you might want to save Death Mountain until you have at least 1 medallion, and there's a chance you can get it in the Turtle Rock. If you find a medallion or you find the ice rod here in Ice Palace, then that might save you one trip up the mountain if you eventually make a Turtle Rock dip.
The only thing that could potentially be our go mode item right now that cannot be on pedestal is Ether Medallion. As we can full clear Eastern Palace and Skull Woods, as Arius has already done. And for Mystery Mire, we're only missing the Ether Medallion.
Yeah, so wondering what's making CeroX do Eastern Palace. I'm guessing there's an item left on Armos Knights, and that's what he's going back here for. No, Armos Knights is the map. So I don't know what he's doing here.
I thought CeroX did not check the Vanilla Big T chest, so he does not have the... I think it was a red rupee which was in there.
I didn't see the chest. I just saw his inventory though, and he's missing the map. So this could be the map, or it could be an item if something else was missed. Either way, though, going in here for just 1 item, even if there is an item in here, we know that there's more items in Skullwoods. 3 with a green pendant. The fire rod did kind of lead you in that direction. Even if you were thinking pedestal, Skullwoods would still be a good choice. I guess you would want to save that for last. Knowing that you can't get in the Misery Mire, though, regardless of what the medallion is, wouldn't make a pendant play, optimal at this point in time. You probably would want to at least know that you can clear Misery Mire first. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. It was just the map.
And looks like CeroX is heading back in to get that vanilla big key chest. What I'm thinking right now is, I think they're... Oh, well, we find the mirror. I was just about to say that progression almost has to be in Ice Palace, and looks like it is. Swamp Palace is open for us right now, and Desert Palace as well.
That's interesting. Both of those dungeons are fully clearable, and with so many items remaining, I think at this point you have to full clear both of them. You could try to do Desert first, and maybe you get lucky with something. Arius can do Desert. He's got the flute, the mirror, a fire source, and the mitts. And the boots. He's got everything he needs. Unless I'm forgetting something somehow. So, tough cold stare fight. Fighter sword, you can only damage this thing with spins. Arius wisely choosing to use the hammer, but it's hard to keep the puffs together with the hammer. So he burnt through all his fire rod shots. Very nice walking away with that fight at half health. Even with the red mail, you're going to take some damage doing hammer cold stare. So very nice to pull that off. Getting Mirror out of that dungeon absolutely made this dip very worthwhile. He's got a few options now. He can do the one-off overworld locations like Cave 45, Graveyard Ledge, things that were skipped, that were mirror locked. Can dive directly into Swamp Palace. Full clear that. It's a crystal dungeon. We know we have Desert. I think we have Desert. Chet thinks we don't, but I think we have Desert as well. So we've got a lot of options. CeroX waiting for the hand to save him a little trip back there. I like that. So, so I wouldn't be surprised if, after clearing Swamp Palace, if we're still looking for items, that would be a really good time to route in picking up the book on Hylia Island. At that time, you're gonna, you still have the Ether Tablet and the Bombos Tablet. So that is one item leading to 2 items. But hopefully, after clearing desert and swamp, we're going to find what we need to at least clear Turtle Rock. Even in that case, though, it's pretty quick to pick up at that time.
And we are just 2 items away from go mode in total. Like, we just need the Ice Rod and one of the medallions, the Turtle Rock Access Medallion. That's the very least we need to get into to get all the way towards Ganon.
Yeah, I think that you probably, if you're Arius right now, you probably do clear. I mean, you finish desert, obviously, but after desert, I think you do a full clear on swamp, and you get all 6 items. And if that's, that's somehow 3 medallions and an ice rod, then yeah, that's great. But most likely, you get all 6 items, and then you go up and do Dark Death Mountain. There's 6 more items up there, 7 because he hasn't done Spike Cave. And if that's enough to get you into Turtle Rock, then you go into Turtle Rock. I would even say skip getting the book on Hylia Island. You know what? I take that back. Get it so you can check Ether when you're up on Death Mountain, just in case. It's really quick to pick it up. I would hold off on doing the blacksmith chain stuff, the magic bat. I would just stay away from all that. I'd probably do swamp, and then there's 7 things up on Death Mountain, 8 if you pick up the book and can do Ether. There's a lot of places that are, I think, more item dense. Blacksmith stuff is pretty fast though with the mirror and the flute, so I don't know. Both are good options. CeroX heading directly to Death Mountain, so we are going to find out what these 6 items are. He's already done Spike Cave, so this will just be 6 items, no book, so we're not able to check the Ether tablet. But we are going to find out what our Turtle Rock medallion requirement is, most likely. So a couple questions from chat, just going to answer here. What do red crystals mean? Red crystals are the 5-6 crystals in the vanilla game. Those are the 2 crystals in, I guess, Ice Palace and Misery Mire. Also, I'm forgetting that. I always do forget that. When you pick both of those crystals up, you're able to purchase the orange bomb at the Pyramid Fairy, at the bomb shop, which will open up the Pyramid Fairy. In the vanilla game, that gets you your butter sword and your silver arrows. In this game, any 2 crystal dungeons can be the 5-6 crystals, the red crystals. In the tracker, they're marked with an asterisk. That's Palace of Darkness and Desert Palace for this particular seed. So once they clear those, like Arius has, the orange bomb will be available to be picked up. The other question, why do we call Super Bunny Cave Super Bunny Cave, is because you can open those 2 chests while you are a bunny if you don't have the Moon Pearl. And it's a minor glitch. It's allowed by the rules of minor glitches. It's not required you to do any minor glitch by the logic. So it's definitely a sequence break, just like fake flippers and dark rooms are sequence breaks. So we got some valuable knowledge there from CeroX's trip up to Death Mountain. Picked up a tempered sword That's 2 levels above Arius now until Arius heads up there or does the magic bat. It looks like he's gonna check shovel, and I won't be surprised if he also does blacksmith stuff based on where he's at. And we find the bombos in the dig spot. That is our Turtle Rock medallion. So that's a no mode item for us. So I always like it when one player gets the knowledge of what the medallion requirement is, while the other player gets the medallion and doesn't know if it's needed. That is the best. Kind of feel a little omniscient when that happens.
I'm thinking right now, where did we find the shovel? Well,
I didn't notice where they picked up the shovel. Ice Palace is what our tracker OSS points out. Thank you. So more value from Ice. Ice had the mirror and the shovel, which led to a required bombos item. That's basically 2 required items in Ice Palace. I like that Arius is basically doing everything he can, and we see this from so many players. They do everything they can to avoid swamp. Doing the Pyramid Fairy, the shovel spot. I thought he might do the blacksmith stuff, but went the Pyramid Fairy instead. Really trying to find that ice rod. Doesn't know that Bombos is the Turtle Rock medallion, though. That's knowledge that we only got from Cirrus's checks.
and we're just 1 item away from go mode. Well, on Aria's side, he's 2 items away technically, as he still needs another sword upgrade. But we need the ice rod and a sword upgrade for Arias. But if we just miss that sword upgrade, which we know where 2 of them are, we're just 1 item away. It could be anywhere. Like, the only place it can't be is on Trinex, which you need the ice rod to kill. So it can, as I said, be anywhere, and this will be a huge goose chase, I'll predict.
Well, CeroX going into ice, this is a good play for him. The mirror is going to open up a lot of things, and we're going to get that shovel. We know that leads to Bombos. He has the knowledge that that's the requirement there. That's going to lead him. I mean, we might never see CeroX pick up the boots. Chat, you guys can remind me. Was Desert boots locked to Crystal or not? I didn't see where the item layout was. It was boots locked. All right. So he will have to pick that up sooner or later. I won't be at all surprised if CeroX checks Desert first, though, prior to actually doing the Zora domain checks. He has the flippers now, and he's seemed reluctant to do those checks. With them in logic, I mean, he has the money. That's 5 items that he could pick up or get knowledge of. So that's better than the 3 in Ice Palace. But with this being a crystal that he can full clear, that does make these items a little bit more valuable. And one thing you have to keep in mind too, and I know Demon's Druid that you're aware of this, but just pointing out for chat's benefit, Arius doesn't know that the Ice Rod is his go mode item, because he doesn't know what the Turtle Rock medallion is. So even if that's the very first item here in Swamp, he's probably still going to have to keep clearing this, unless he's willing to take a really big gamble.
Also, depending on how Arius feels about the seed and how he's doing, he might just opt to do the go mode the rest of Swamp Palace once he finds the ice rod, on the presumption that Turtle Rock is Wombos. But that's such a huge gamble. I don't think Arius will do it.
Yeah, the time it takes to get back to Swamp and reflood the rooms, I just don't see that being a gamble that he's going to make. You might gamble some other dungeons, like Misery Mire. If you pick up Ice Rod, you might say that it's not worth looking for the second item because it's so quick to get back to Mire. But yeah, I don't see anybody only partially clearing Swamp unless they're making an early gamble, or I mean, it would be a big gamble either way.
And Arius is skipping left side for right now.
So CeroX has picked up both his mirror and his shovel and is heading down to Cold Stare. This is going to be a much easier fight for CeroX. Having picked up the Tempered Sword, he has 2 swords above what Arius has. Is not going to need the hammer strats. We'll just be able to get Cold Stare up in the corner, and if he's lucky, we'll just pull off a very quick NMG style kill on the boss. Got 8 fire rod shots, got him in the corner, got 2 hits on him, got a little bit away from him, but has enough magic to finish him off. Not a perfect fight, but still a very clean fight. Oh, never mind. I take that back. Deciding to use a safety potion for 1 more fire rod hit. That's a shame. Would have been 1 slash away from killing the puff. But that's how potions work in this game. If you're nervous and you use a potion, that means that you're not going to actually take any more damage at that point. I sometimes feel like you could use a potion and then just walk into the boss and you wouldn't take damage in this game. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was using a potion there is a bad move. He was down to 3 hearts with red mail. He could take another hit, and he had Tempered Sword. There's no harm in playing it safe there. I had just called it a little bit early that he was gonna finish him off, so it just caught me off guard.
CeroX just is going to find out that Desperate Palace is in fact bootlocked.
Yeah, so for CeroX here, what's a good place for him to go? He might do Swamp Palace first and full clear that, and hope to find boots in Swamp. That's definitely an option. He has been favoring dungeon dips over other items. We saw him do that very early pod that was completely in the dark without even a sword. So I'd be surprised if he chooses to do more overworld checks prior to heading into a crystal dungeon that he can full clear. It does look like he is heading in the swamp. This fits in with the playstyle that we've seen from CeroX so far. And we've seen most of Swamp already from Arius. He's going to have to check these last two spots on the left side, but Arius is missing both the big key and the map. So of these 3 remaining locations, one is going to be the map, one is going to be the big key, and there's only 1 item left here. So it's a lot of work for 1 item. And yeah, you have to do it, don't get me wrong, but it's just disappointing that Swamp didn't line up a little bit nicer for him. So this seed we've seen 3 swords so far. The first sword that both of our players got was on Bumper Cave. CeroX has picked up 2 more. One was in Hookshot Cave that was tempered for him. And the second was he chose to sequence break at the Magic Bat by doing the fake powder. Arius has the powder, which was also obtained through a sequence break by fake flippering, but hasn't yet been over into the Kakariko area yet to do any of the blacksmith chain items or the Magic Bat items. So he's been on Fighter Sword for a lot longer than he's needed to be. That's just the way it's worked out, given his route. He's been racking up the crystals, though, so he's been getting work done.
What item locations do we have left? We have Ether's tablet, we have Bombo's medallion tablet, we have Turtle Rock, before we have Pedestal, and what else do we have? Lunchbox?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any of the blacksmith stuff or hammer pegs. So there's still a number of spots left. So, Ice Rod on the Bombo's tablet.
Well, we are in no mode. It's just that Arius now needs to go and find himself a sword upgrade. And we know 2. We know 1, and we know 1 is in Bookshelf Cave. So he's probably gonna check K45 and then do Blacksmith Chain, I think.
Yeah, that's gonna get him his Ice Rod. He doesn't know that he has the Turtle Rock medallion though, so he's probably gonna head up to head up to Death Mountain, check Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave, or maybe he'll do the Turtle Rock portal first and just go in. For him, it'll be nice if he does the. So he still doesn't want to go over to the Death Mountain area. So, God, this is not great for Arius, because if he goes directly in the Turtle Rock, thinking that he needs to find a sword there, knowing that it's going to be a double dip, he'll full clear up to Trinex, maybe find a sword, but probably not, given that we know where 2 of them are. If he does Hookshot Cave first, he'll find a sword, and then he's immediately going to go pick up Ice Rod and then climb the mountain again. So either way, there's another mountain climb in his future. CeroX doesn't have it too much better either. He's got the sword that he could pick up the Bombos medallion, but he doesn't have the book. So if he gets the book after this, he's still going to have to flute to re-enter the Dark World in order to actually go pick it up. He might decide to route that in with Purple Chest or something else. So neither of them have an optimal route. At least Arius is going to know what the medallion for Turtle Rock is, and know that he's going to be in go mode once he picks up that Ice Rod. Getting his second sword here in the Hookshot Cave, he's probably going to be on Master Sword for the rest of the game.
And it could also be very much possible that we won't see the silver arrows.
Yeah, unless there's another sword that's in his direct path, or in one of the very easy to access chests, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he never gets tempered. I definitely don't see any chance that he's going to route in the blacksmiths or magic bat items at this point.
And Arius just saw that he needs bombos, so he knows he's soon going to be in go mode.
Yeah, and CeroX is going to pick up his bombos, so he'll know that he has his go mode medallion, but he has no idea where the ice rod is. This is a really interesting race. CeroX still also has to pick up the boots in order to get the desert crystal. So he's got a number of items that are required. The book, the boots, the ice rod. He's got a ways to go.
CeroX going to make a Turtle Rock gamble. He's gonna gamble it's there.
Yeah, this is unfortunate because we know where all of the required items are. If you find bombos though, and that lets you into a crystal dungeon, I don't blame CeroX for making this play. He's been favoring those dungeon plays, and there's no reason why the ice rod couldn't be in Turtle Rock. It frequently is in Turtle Rock, and if it is, then or even the boots, either of those items could be in here based on the knowledge that he has. But this definitely gives Arius a very significant lead. He's heading up to clear his last crystal dungeon, despite only having the Master Sword. This is just a crystal advantage that more than makes up for a item deficiency.
I also like how the item we need to complete Turtle Rock is also connected to the medallion that we need to open it. Like the Bombo's tablet had the ice rod.
So just to satisfy chat's requirements, arious13 is now in go mode at 1 hour and 24 minutes. Yay! Sorry. But yeah, Arius is heading into Turtle Rock, and as we previously stated, is in go mode. So is just needs to clear this crystal. No, you have to give in the chat. Without chat, we would have no reason to be here. That we're here for the runners. We focus on the runners. It's not about us. But without chat, none of us would be here. So keeping chat happy is absolutely I think if you look at the commentary guidelines, rules 1 through 9 of the 10 rules are keep chat happy. I think it's written as appease chat, which might have a different meaning to it, but it's the same thought process. So nice sync here. I mean, other than the fact that Arius is a crystal ahead and in go mode, we're seeing some screen sync.
And Arius is still checking chests for the big key and possibly the silvers and a sword upgrade.
So I mean, we don't know where the fourth sword is. So if it's in one of the Turtle Rock chests or Ganon Tower chests that Arius ends up checking in the normal course of his route of clearing Turtle Rock or finding the big key, that's going to be great. Once he gets the tempered sword, you know, the Ganon Tower becomes easy. Ganon himself becomes a very easy fight. Equally, finding the Silver's arrows would make the Ganon fight much easier and give him quite a lot of convenience in climbing the gauntlet, doing ice armors, land mode 2, anything he needs to do. But with neither of those, it's a much harder fight. Provided he can execute, the time loss isn't going to be a game ender. But if he has execution problems, that can add up.
And a quick high five in these tubes. I'm wondering if you're going through these tubes, are you rolling or are you just walking? How do you go through them? And is it like a slide?
I think you're walking through the tubes, but there's got to be some kind of like. It's not a slide because you can go through them either way, and it's the same speed. So you'd have to have an incline to make a slide possible. But maybe some kind of conveyor belt or zero friction surface that speeds them along. Vacuum tubes, that would work as well if it was that you could change the direction on it. Magic is also a good go-to answer for all of life's problems. CeroX also loses time in Turtle Rock by doing, additional checks like Mimic Cave. A lot of times you'll talk about, what's a go mode Turtle Rock. You can, if you get both of your small keys, if you get all your small keys, not both, but if you get all your small keys early, then you can skip the big chest and laser bridge. Otherwise, you're going to have to check those just for keys unless you're willing to make a gamble. And we've seen that gamble fail for too many runners too many times. But so really, the only thing that you can reliably skip is the Mimic Cave check. Turtle Rock is not a bad dungeon to have to full clear compared to Go mode. And Arius, we see checking these chests, just looking for a sword at this point. I expect that we'll see similar behavior until he, he's not going to go super far out of his way. But if there's easy, quick chests to pick up, and those laser bridge ones are definitely quick, he does not want to do a Master Sword Silverless Ganon. A Silverless Ganon fight has a minimum of 54 sword spins. And you can definitely like to avoid that if possible. Yeah, 52. I don't know why I said 54. 52, assuming that every sword spin is a single, you can reduce that by getting doubles and along walls and stuff like that, and you can increase it by missing. But either way here, Arius is getting his 7th crystal, and being a speed gaming channel, we kind of have a routine here. Demon's Druid, would you like to do the honors? Okay, well, I'll do that then. So we'll kick off the big key guessing game bot for everybody. As most of you guys know, you can pick a number between 1 and 22, representing where you expect the Gens Tower big key to be. Anybody who doesn't know about the game is probably not going to get a chance to win, because you literally have to be sitting there with your number typed in and your finger on the enter key, ready to hit enter as soon as we type start. To actually have a chance at winning. But if you were lucky enough to be a subscriber to one of the 6 or 9 or however many speed gaming channels they have now, or have donated 250 bits and were there with your finger over the button ready to go, and you get the correct number, then you'll be on the leaderboard, and we will call out your name and we will praise you for the rest of this game as the prescient viewer that you are. This is also a good chance for you guys to prove that you're able to correct our mistakes in advance instead of only after the fact. So I wish you guys all luck in getting your guesses in. Demon's Druid, do you have a guess?
Well, I mostly wait until someone else does the guesses for me, and then I'll do it. But now you don't have any more time. But I typed 4 into the chat.
I love all these reviews. Would listen to again. It's basically chats saying that, you know, if I'm picked as the commentator, they're not going to hit mute when I come on. So I guess that's some kind of endorsement. But first 3 locations, we do not have a big key. Arius making a full left side play.
Let's see, it is not number 4. This is a shame.
So 7 down. So number 8, the double firebar room. I'm just going to say randomizer room as my guess, because I waited until we got 8 chests out of the way. But number 8 is silver arrows, which is actually a darn nice item to find. Maybe even as good as the big key, because you can shoot more stuff with the arrows than the big key. I don't know what I was thinking, but nice to have. That's going to cut the last 54 down to a 28 in the number of spins you need. 52 down to 28. I did it again. So number 9 coming up. Our first shield.
That's
better late than
handy.
never. Yeah, I say better late than never, but it's actually never is actually pretty good when it comes to shields. So 10, 11, 12, and 13 in the randomizer room, my favorite room, because I didn't even know it was here until we had randomizer. Map, a rupee, a bottle, and a bomb.
That is our 4th and last bottle of this seed.
Yes, I'm sure Arius is very happy finding our 4th bottle before our 4th sword. So the next chest, number 14 rather, lovingly known as Bob's chest, in honor of the anti-fairy, the corrupted, sick, ill, diseased anti-fairy that is known as Bob. We're going to be checking that while CeroX picks up his 6th crystal. Still needs the book and the ice rod, not yet in go mode. And a big heart container in chest number 14. Arius still hoping to find another tempered sword. Or not another tempered sword, a tempered sword.
Well, I always like to finish with 2 tempered sword. I don't know about you, though.
I do like to dual wield myself, so 2 tempered swords would be nice. Ice Armos. We are done, Ice Armos. Heading to right side. Got 6 more chests over here, plus tile room. And hopefully we'll save tile room for last, because that's what you do with tile room.
I thought there were 5 chests on the right side. You have the 4 in the back, like at the end, and you have the 1 tile room.
Yeah, I counted the 2 that he already opened. My bad. So 4 remaining chests plus tile room. I was just thinking. In my head, I always say 6 on the right side, and then I just didn't rethink about it. But Demon Druid, you're supposed to save the trolling for chat.
I'm sorry.
Alright, 18 Compass, Rupee, and 19 Harpies, and 20, and 21 is a triple boom. So we know where the big key is going to be, number 22.
Well, that's always something chat likes to see.
And oh my gosh, Kern, oh, you evil bastard.
Wow, Kern guessed 24. There aren't even, it isn't even logically possible to be 24, but he still won because he was the closest supporter or sub. Wow.
I think it's the first person I've seen win the guessing game by picking a number greater than 22. No, Kern, look at the speed gaming text. It says the closest guess from a sub supporter was 24 by Kern. I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, somebody always says 22, and wow. All right. So Arius heading up the tower with the Master Sword. There are 4 chests remaining that could still have a sword upgrade. We've yet to see the location of that 4th sword. But Master Sword Silverless looks like it's the probable fight that we're going to see from Arius' side. CeroX just did his first lumberjack check. Finds that there's nothing up there. Not a good situation to be in with the ice rod on the. This is the thing about with the ice rod. We talked about how the bow only blocks 8 locations in the game. That's the potential trolliest 100% required item, but the ice rod is the trolliest item of them all, blocking a single item in the game, the Trinex fight. So, the book only unlocks 2 locations, and they're out of the way locations. So CeroX checking every single thing before the book makes a lot of sense. I would probably expect him to do the book before Misery Mire, but everything else before the book. Well, Arius working his way up the gauntlet.
And CeroX is using the boots and the hammer for the hammer packs to find Ether medallion and some rage slashes. But if it were true that using the hammer dash right there and you could anger the cuckoos there, that could be really annoying, and it will be if it were a thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, picking up the Ether medallion there is probably the worst thing we could have found, because that opens up Misery Mire. At least Misery Mire was locked off to him. Now, without the book and the ability to check what the pedestal is, I think it's very likely that he's going to assume that this is a pedestal seed and the ice ride is on ped, and clear Misery Mire, and then blind Pulped. That's a guess, but yeah. And I just a point. I don't think he forgot the checkbook. It's just not a good play at this point. There's more item dense locations that he's checking, and it just his route just didn't work out. That book became convenient to check. Oh, there we go. 4th sword in the chest. This is a guaranteed Master Sword silver fight for Arius. No sword on the upstairs GT. And CeroX is heading into Misery Mire. This is going to be a blind Pulped, I bet. And Arius will most likely be done, I think, before CeroX gets to the pedestal.
Will we see a bird toss, though?
We do see a bird toss. So, despite the all the tilt that must be going on, he's still pleasing the fans. So I think that's as good a time as any to recommend to the viewers to check out CeroX's and Arius's pages. Despite everything that they're doing it for you guys. And one more chest for Arius will not be a sword. Not going to be a bottle, so no last-minute potions. Not going to be a Sen cart. It's just going to be disappointment.
And the last chest in the game having just 10 arrows. At least it's 10 times more valuable than the vanilla game. In a vanilla game it has just 1 arrow.
So, I wouldn't be surprised, given the fact that he has half magic, that we probably see maybe some cape strats in Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Arius's Ganon fight. If we get favorable Ganon positioning, especially in Phase 2, if we get the top right corner, and you can get a bunch of spins in up there, it can make that fight much, much faster. But either way, he's there. CeroX missing the switch there is going to have to go back to check that chest.
And this is probably the last time we'll see the duck soon when he lands and then drops in.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, and it's like I said, it's no fault of his. It's just the way the routing works. This is and Ice Rod's troll search is the last thing that you want, and not even knowing if it's a pedestal seed or not because of lack of the book. Just makes this really, really stressful. So you can absolutely understand, any tilt that CeroX might be feeling at the moment. We do have Arius starting in on the sword spins. With Master Sword, you can only damage Ganon with spins. It's 12 spins for each of the first 2 cycles, and he takes very nice use of that top right positioning there to get 4 spins in that 1 cycle. He's doing the same thing here with the wall. That might be all of Phase 2 right there. Oh, 1 more for Phase 2. So this is a good position. Even if you have Tempered Sword, 3 Tempered Sword spins will count as all of your required hits for completing a cycle. So that's a great place to be regardless of the sword you have. That was a really, really nice phase, phase 1 and 2 for Ganon. Arius has the blue potion, but he's doing what he can here without using the potion. Just in case he takes a hit in phase 3, that potion is going to top off his health. So, really good thinking there. Just needs to get this torch glitch to make this next phase most optimal. You do still have to hit Ganon with your spins in order to get him into the frozen state. But already has 2 shots in. Just 2 more at this point. He plays it safe, gets 4 singles in, but has no trouble with that fight. That was a very, very nice Master Sword execution fight there. Used the cape to the best of his advantage, did not get overwhelmed by nerves or stress. Get your GGs in there. That was a very clean fight, and that does give him first place with 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 18 seconds. So GGs. We will invite him over into the Discord for an interview. Just give him a few minutes to calm down. Meanwhile, CeroX continuing on to do Misery Mire. He is almost at Vitreous. 1 item still remains on Vitreous, so he is still looking for the Ice Rod at this point in the game. Probably still thinking it's a pedestal seed. We might actually see in the credits on Arius' side what the pedestal has prior to CeroX making it over there. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we haven't seen any of the boomerangs, so I'd suppose it's one of those.
Yeah, and I just want to call out Cyclone in chat saying, just invite him. Cyclone knows that we can't invite him until he actually joins the Discord, so shame on you, but Arius is in the Discord now, so welcome Arius. GG's on your win. Very nice execution, very nice Ganon fight.
Thank you. I was really excited about my routing because I seem to have just found everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that lined up for you very, very nicely.
I was like, I want that buck. I know I can go beat Swamp, but I kind of want the buck. So I got the buck first. It was weird. I don't know. I just had a feeling about the buck.
Well, when you actually got the book, and then you checked the Bombo's tablet and saw that was Ice Rod. At the time, you didn't know that you had the Go Mode medallion. But you didn't even have the sword to get it at that point, so at least knowing where it is probably made you feel good.
Oh yeah, the knowledge is really good. That's why I was like, okay, I know where Ice Rod is, but now I need to know whether or not I have the Go Mode medallion, because I want to know if I have to keep looking for a sword or a sword and a coin. So, yeah. That the sequence break early on, I've been skipping that a lot lately, the fake flippers. But I was just like, all right, I got lots of money. Let's do it.
Well, I think that's a good sequence break that's worth discussing here. It led to Boots and the powder. We saw CeroX do a fake powder fairly early in the game, and that did have one of the other swords. Purple Chest and the Magic Bat were the other 2 swords. So he actually had Tempered Sword for most of the game while you were still in Fighter, but didn't have the boots until very, very late in the game. So that, despite not having a sword and not being able to dash through things, that sequence break really did pay off in this particular seed.
Yeah, I was very fortunate.
Do you sequence break a lot?
No, well, sometimes. Sometimes it goes very, very poorly. My last tournament seed against someone 3255, I sequence broke Death Mountain, twice, and it had nothing both times.
I commentated that match.
It was horrible. I was like, how do you sequence break a mountain twice and get nothing? Anyways, it's fine. I'm not still crying over that.
Yeah, I do remember that race. That was an interesting race. We just saw CeroX blind pull the pedestal, find out it was the boomerang, and I'm glad he did, because I'm looking at the credits on your screen and it says the backlash stick, and I'm not sure I would have guessed what that meant.
Truth be told, when I was reading the monolith or whatever they call it, I was like, huh. I guess you read it so quick, and then I move on with my life. My brain was like, I'm the ice rod. I was like, I make things go frozen or whatever it was. I was like, huh. Oh!
Well,
Sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
I was really... I wanted to go to Ice Palace as soon as I got the fire rod, even though I didn't have flippers or gold glove. I was just like, I'm ready to go to Ice Palace. Which I realized quickly that I was like, oh, I can't do this. Then I'm going to go get Pendant Moth for one item. Did it take a while for my opponent to find gold glove, or was it pretty quick?
I don't remember which one of you guys got the glove first, but it wasn't a huge difference. I think you were the first to go to ice. The mirror and the shovel. You got the bombos. You dug it out of the ground just as CeroX was looking at Turtle Rock, and we knew that it was needed. So we kind of got the two pieces of knowledge about the same thing from both of you at the same time.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really interesting. When you checked the bombos tablet and gave us knowledge of where the ice rod was, that was our no mode at that point. You still needed the swords to actually get it, and you didn't know that bombos was actually needed on Turtle Rock yet. And we were actually really worried that you would, try to look for a sword in Turtle Rock before checking Hookshot Cave and finding the sword.
I was contemplating either Hookshot Cave or the Dwarf as my next place, so I guess either way I would have kind of gotten the sword. But I was like, do I go into Turtle Rock if nothing else appears? I was seriously considering it. So, it might have happened.
Well, early on, like I said, the sequence break on the boots, didn't help you early on. The powder didn't help you for a long time because, you never picked up the sword on the magic bat. And without your first sword, the boots were actually kind of slowing you down a little bit. You had to keep bonking into things and walking around enemies. And there was you checked extra locations like bonk rocks that didn't have any progression. But, ultimately in the end, your strategy of doing some more of the overworld checks paid off in this particular seed.
It's really funny. I was just talking to my friends about how a lot of people have or appear to have allergies to Swamp Palace. And I was like, as soon as I get Swamp Palace, I'm going to go into it. And I did not do that at all. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was really surprised that, it's really difficult sometimes. I try to follow the seed as much as I can, and I put faith in that fire rod in the moth, and it was sending me good messages. It was like, okay, cool, go to this place. Then I was like, swamp, eh? I don't know. I kind of want to get that book because when I go down the swamp, I want to just walk left really quickly to check Bombo's tablet, and Swamp had nothing. Wait, did Swamp have anything? No,
No, Swamp was pretty much dead. I believe.
I have a memory of a goldfish. So
yeah, and then you check the Bombo's tablet on the way out, and it's like, oh wow, that's Ice Rod, but you can't get it.
Yeah, that was kind of funny, reading it and thinking, huh, okay, this is good knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have CeroX. He's full cleared. Every dungeon, but he's back in Swamp, checking the left side items. Still hasn't picked up the book yet.
Nothing but heartbreak over there.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Your early dip into the Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts area, that really paid off. You got the cape which led directly up to your first sword. There was another thing in something in C-shaped house too that was progression.
Yeah, I don't remember. I forget things as soon as I do them.
The lantern.
Yes. I would have been okay without the lantern, but I've practiced my dark rooms a lot lately because it's going to be important in the brackets.
Yeah, I mean, how comfortable are you in the dark rooms? Like in general, are there any ones that you're still trying to learn?
Nope, but I don't know the one for Aga, and I'm not going to learn it. So,
have you put any time into practicing? One thing that came up in this particular seed, neither of you guys did the old man on the mountain sequence break for a long time to pick up that save point. You know, dark rooms without the sword are an entirely different thing that you need to practice. Have you practiced the swordless dark rooms?
I have. I just didn't feel like doing it. It's such a quick check when I eventually do get the lamp, and if I never get the lamp, it's nothing, right? That's kind of why my brain goes with that one, because it's just like the lumberjack check. I don't check that because I typically don't check it unless if I get like boots super early. I don't check it until I get boots, because I know that as soon as I'm done whatever dungeon I find boots in or whatever routing I'm in, I'm probably saving quitting the sanctuary, checking bonk rocks, and then I just run upwards and check it then. So I don't love checking things that I can put off and do it more efficiently, depending on, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
No, I mean that makes sense. I've been watching a lot of races, doing the commentary, and runners, I'd say probably maybe 2/3 of the runners will check Lumberjack Cave initially, and a third of them now will wait until they get the boots. Like you said, you can route it in when you do bonk rocks. It's some people find that having that knowledge can steer them in the wrong direction. It's really a personal preference thing. I don't think it makes a massive difference on the outcome of races.
I feel like my problem with it is that 9 out of, I think it's like what, an 11% location to be required, pretty 11 or 12.
I couldn't say.
I like numbers, so I think I'm pretty close. So like 9 out of 10 times you're gonna waste time checking that. And like, so if I could bring that down to like 8 out of 10 times, because how many seeds do not get boots? You never get boots, you never need to know what's there. So I'm like, it's kind of a math problem, and I just don't like doing it. I see some people skip library for the same reason, and I'm like, oh golly. But that scares me. I can't skip library, but I skip that, whatever.
Skipping library, if you're going to check race game, I mean, that's a little bit easier to check. I'll just put you on hold for just a second here. We do have CeroX officially logging his forfeit, so get your GGs into the chat for CeroX. Put on a really good show for us, and just unfortunately, didn't go his way this time. But CeroX does join us for chat as well, so welcome, CeroX. Sorry to see you have to go through that, but I appreciate you sticking around and joining us here.
Oh, no problem. GG, first of all, that was quite a seed. Yeah. One of my worst races in the last couple of weeks, I believe, but whatever. The Ice Rod and I, we have a really special relationship, and it's okay.
I'd say it's a he-hate relationship with the Ice Rod.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I think my escape was already a bit sloppy, so I decided to immediately do the South Hyrule stuff, and because we already had hookshot and so, and I was not sure if this was the correct play, because we had an early Moon Pearl as well, if I recall correctly, and so I could have fake flippered, but because I skipped Kakariko, so I hadn't enough money for that. So, but I hope to find like a bottle or the flute or something, and I've actually found the flute there, so I was happy with this play, and everything was okay until like Hera, where I got trolled by Trolldome 2 times, and and then I got completely thrown off by this bow from Moldrum. I really thought the bow will definitely unlock something, and then I had this really slow Palace of Darkness with basically no way to navigate around in the dark rooms. And then later on, I found the lamp in C-shaped house, and then I thought, okay, maybe now something is on Armor's Night. So I went back to Eastern. I was really sure the bow unlocks something, but there was absolutely nothing. And at this point, I already know that I've probably lost, so I decided to take some gambles and skip some stuff and do stuff that I normally don't do at this point. So I walked like really slow to Catfish, and I skipped Lake Hylia Island and Hobo and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I got trolled in the end. It's fine. Especially after I got boots in Waterfall Cave, I knew I have definitely lost, because probably Arius has fake flippered, and then I have no chance anyway.
Well, I just want to say, and you know, I got to give you an award here. This is a Tiru award directly to you for being the first person in their summary to have answered every single one of the questions I had in my notepad here. So very, very well summarized, sir.
Speedrun interview, right?
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm basically left with asking for your final thoughts.
I'm not mad at all. I knew this was not my best performance early on after Escape. Basically, I'm not in a good shape today, but that's okay. I still had a lot of fun. I'm happy that I reached the bracket at all, and I still have a chance. I mean, our next match is, I think, in 2 days on Wednesday, if I believe.
Wednesday at 2,
I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, I think you guys probably paired up very well. You know, you guys both went 5-2 in Swiss. I believe, if I'm not misremembering. So, you know, not being paired with somebody who went 7-0 or was an auto qualifier. You know, at least coming into this, you know, execution-wise, you guys were pretty much on the same page. I think you both executed very well. You know, Arius did benefit from that early fake flipper, and you know, not having to go back in the desert. The book was, oh geez, you know, the book leading to Ice Ride on Bombo's tablet. Every play that you made, CeroX, you know, you were going for item dense locations. You were going for your, you know, probability. It just didn't work out this particular time. But that's what Randomizer is. The best players following, you know, the most optimal routes. Sometimes, you know, a gamble will pay off.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. As I said, I just decided this time to skip the flipper locations because I didn't fake flipper early on, so I just wanted to do Ice Palace after I got flippers, and then just quickly check Waterfall Ferry and Zora. And yeah, sometimes this happens. I really don't like going to the Hobo. It costs some time at this point in the race, and if there's something and my opponent fake flipper, then yeah, it's probably too late anyway. So I just decided to skip it and hope there's nothing.
And well, I think there's one more question to ask. One that we said we would ask to you, CeroX, when you were in Palace of Darkness, with the dark room that you went ahead and do all of it. We had a question about that. I forgot it, but we had something to ask. I think we wanted to ask you what you were thinking then, and doing the dark room and not waiting till later to do the dark room with lamp and all.
Well, as I said, I really believe the bow unlocks something. So when I got gloves in Big Chess in Eastern, I thought, okay, this was not bow locked, but now I have Dark World access, and probably the lamp is somewhere out there. So let's just skip it and hope that. And then I was basically really happy after I found out that pot is bow locked. So I was really sure there's something in there, and yeah, the lamp might be needed, but I'm able to do these dark rooms even without a sword or something else, and I was able to do it. It was a bit slow, but it was still okay. I'm not mad at it, but I'm still confused that there was nothing behind the bow. That's really surprising to me, honestly.
Well, you did. Sorry, go ahead, Druid.
And Arius, are you wondering where the last 2 sword upgrades were?
think T-Brew gave it away. No, CeroX, no. T-Brew gave it away. One was in the blue chest, and one was at...
The other was at lunchbox.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, purple chest,
Yeah.
magic bat.
Every time I went up deathmatch, as I was climbing Turtle Rock, I was like checking to see if the other guy was dot dunning, and I was like, oh golly, I hope I didn't miss a sword. Like I missed 2, but whatever.
Well, it was a very clean Master Sword Silver's fight. Good use of the cape there. So, very nice execution. I'll go through the schedule and wrap things up unless either of you guys have any final thoughts. You do have another match coming up, and you're both still in it, so I'll wish you the best of luck. But any final thoughts?
Just thanks to the restreamer and you guys, the commentators, and thanks for CeroX playing this match, and good luck on Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah, just can agree. Thanks all for watching, commentating, restreaming, and I'm really looking forward to Wednesday, and I hope I can improve until then. So yeah, maybe we can get to a third match. That would be awesome.
That'd be hype, yeah.
Well, I would definitely tune in to watch that. I would love to see you guys play. For it to go to 3 matches. That's always fun when you're both on the bubble, and not so much for you, but for the viewers, it's fun. So I wish you guys both luck in your future matches. There are links in Twitch chat for CeroX and Arius to check out both their channels. See what kind of games they stream, see if their style fits your preferences, and if you like what you see, give them a follow, because everyone likes your support. Looking at the schedule here, not a lot of matches going on today. It's a little bit of a slower day. We do have a match in progress that started 20 minutes ago on Speed Gaming 4. That's Elminster RTA versus Scion T. This is their Game 3 match. We have at 6:30 p.m., so an hour and a half from now, on Speed Gaming, we have Alucard 2004 versus McLagging. This is kind of a legendary rematch between 2 very well-known players. This will be Game 1 of their bracket phase, and we have further races at 7 o'clock, 7:15, 7:30, and going into the evening tonight. But check the schedule, which is posted in chat. To wrap things up here, of course, we have my thanks to the Speed Gaming staff. We're on Speed Gaming 5, and there are 6 channels in total streaming ALTTP Randomizer tournaments, in addition to the 4 ALTTP Randomizer channels that are also streaming. So check out those. Got to thank, of course, our wonderful tracker, OSS Geek. Once again, OSS Geek has tracked many races that I've had the honor to commentate, and has always kept us honest. Very, very much appreciated, and we are very dependent on the hard work that the trackers do. But last but not least, thanks to my co-commentator, Demon's Druid, for the co-coms. It has been a pleasure. The last words go to you, sir, and you can wrap us up.
Yeah, I really liked commentating with you. Let's do it again sometime soon. And I just want to say, have a good rest of the evening and everything, and enjoy some more matches if you have the time. If not, you can come back later and enjoy some more. Thank you for watching.
Good afternoon, guys.